Gladiator fans, welcome into a special edition board check, catching up during the summer with the man, the myth, the legend. He does so much for the Gladiators. I'm just gonna start by saying the voice of our Gladiators among the many other hats he wears. He is Liam Gotimer. How are you, Liam?
Jeremy, no hat tonight, but thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I left mine as well. I was like, you know what? Let's just go with it.
Yeah,
But how's the summer been going?
it's good. It's been going really well, kind of starting to take shape, starting to build our roster for next season. Players signing coming up here by the end of the week, maybe at the start of next week. Definitely excited to go out with who will make up next year's roster. Of course, we had our season-ending roster as well. Go out, and this is really where the off-season gets going. So I'm excited. Means hockey season is close.
Yeah, even though it technically just ended, I told people, I said, really, it never ends. It goes year round, just like football.
100%. I'm counting the days.
Oh yeah. I mean, and we would be remiss if we didn't say congratulations to the Florida Panthers on a great Cup run. I felt like they were the best team the whole time anyway. But also, hats off to Edmonton. I thought that series was done after Game 3, and I was completely wrong, and it turned into one of the best series I've seen in a while.
Yeah, that was a fun Stanley Cup playoff and Stanley Cup final as well. Ton of credit to the Oilers coming back from a 3-0 deficit, forcing a game seven. But whenever you get to see a franchise win their first ever championship in history, that's always a special moment. So happy for the Panthers, happy for Paul Maurice, who wins his first Stanley Cup, and
Yep.
Jake Maurice, his son, is actually the broadcaster for the Florida
Oh,
Everblades. So
nice.
shout out to him too.
Wow. Well, that what a great transition. We mentioned that we got to give our
I
kudos
figured.
to the Everblades as well, who
Yeah.
went back to back to back. I said I compare that to what the Lightning did when they did it with the Stanley Cup because, and like you said, even on a different scale, because in the ECHL, your roster can change every day, let alone every week or every month. So to keep a nucleus together and be able to go back to back to back, congratulations to Florida, but no, your days are numbered.
It's it's absolutely incredible what the Everblades have been able to do over the last three seasons. And like you said, Jeremy, ECHL rosters tend to change so much from year to year that it's almost impossible to keep team chemistry at the level that the Everblades have done over the past three seasons. And they took out a real juggernaut in the Kansas City Mavericks with ease
Yeah.
outside of game two. And it just goes to show you how strong the Everblades are and how strong the South Division was the entire season.
And if I'm not mistaken, the head coach for the Mavericks used to be an assistant with Florida because I think I met him when he was in Atlanta and I've kept up with him the whole time. And that dude just continues to do spectacular things.
The entire Mavericks organization has been incredible. So
Yeah.
full credit to them and on a great run, and I'm sure they'll be back.
Yeah, they'll be back in the semifinals when we knock them out. But that's in the future. We're not going to get too far ahead of ourselves. Let's start or let's kind of go into, like I said, no real surprises when I see the end of the year roster. We don't really need to go through that much. For the most part, I try to explain this to people. For the most part, these are the people that the Gladiators can basically put a pin on to say, if you're going to play on the ECHL level, you have to either play for us or you have to at least negotiate with us to go where you're going. Correct?
That's correct. So we have their rights, and the season-ending roster only consists of ECHL contracted players
Mm.
that either played during the season with the Gladiators or finished the season with Atlanta.
Right. Yep, that's what I try to explain because they're like, "Oh, well, where's this guy? Oh, they let him go." I was like, "No, they didn't let anybody go. Those are either prospects that got called up or down, depending on what's going on with that, or that they're property of the bigger team. These are just people that the Gladiators are allowed to have rights to. And like I said, if we can keep at least 2/3 of that team, I like our chances this year.
It would most certainly be nice, right? So, and of course, it's always good getting fresh new blood in there, but I think for a team that had so many rookies at the start of last season and all throughout last season, it's good to give
Yeah.
them another go, in their second years as professionals, kind of see where you can plug different guys in that might have not been on your team last year to see where they can help.
And especially before we talk about the schedule a little bit, and especially at least the ones I was able to speak with last year, and I know you spoke with practically all of them too. It seemed like the new guys that came in, whether they were just signees or whether they were rookies or whatever, Yeah, you had a couple, and you could kind of tell the couple that were just like, "Yeah, I'm great for the opportunity." But there was a lot of them who said, "Man, I really like the culture here in Atlanta, not just at the rink, but outside the rink. I like the Gwinnett area, and if I can come back, I want to come back." They really enjoy what the Gladiators are setting up.
100%. And without giving up too much, there are a lot of guys that really enjoyed Atlanta even after coming over here. And it's never easy, right? Some guys, for example, Parker Acoin, Jake Willits, Carson Denemy, these were all players from the Western Conference that were in the middle of tight playoff races when they were traded over. Then they go to Atlanta, a team that's in a little bit of a different situation, struggling to win at times. And the fact that, they could have that understanding that, Atlanta is a beautiful place to live, a beautiful place to play. And of course, this team has a bright future despite the struggles they may have encountered last year.
And in fact, I almost forgot our other subject there. Let better transition if we're going to talk about the newcomers to this squad. There's a new coach, not a new head coach. Everybody settled down. Whether you whether you were for or against that, everybody loves Nesbitt. We know that.
Who
But
doesn't? Who doesn't?
as I ask you, Niels is coming back as well. But we get the return of the Ginner, Matt Ginn, who played goaltender for here for a couple years, just a few years ago, kind of worked his way through the ranks, and suddenly he joins this team as bench coach number two.
It's a terrific pickup for the Gladiators. Of course, like you mentioned, Matt Ginn, a former Gladiator goaltender for about 3 years, teammates of head coach Derek Nesbitt and current assistant coach Eric Neely. He was beloved by the fan base. When I put that social media post out, there was a lot of positive reaction to Ginner rejoining the team. And from what he's been able to do over the past 2 seasons in Manchester, coaching over in the EIHL, he had a significant increase from where the team was in the 21-22 season, which was the year before he took over as head coach. That was an 8-point increase. And then this past year, they had 61 points, which was an increase of 14 points. So, to improve your club for a combined 22 points over 2 seasons. That's incredible. And he earned Manchester playoff berths in each season, and he was named Coach of the Year this past season. So definitely a coach that deserves an opportunity in North America and is going to get a real chance to make his mark with a team that, could definitely use some more behind the bench, I would say.
Right.
With
And
just
without
one
knowing
assistant
exactly,
head coach, right? So.
yeah,
Mhm.
and without knowing exactly what he's going to do, because we're not privy to that information yet, and I don't think it really matters that much. I do kind of agree with what we were saying, is that it does feel like he's going to go more defensive heavy and run more help with the goalies a lot more, which frees up Neely to do more offensive stuff, which frees up Nesbitt to do what's needed to lead the team and to not have to worry about schemes and drills and stuff like that. He can actually steer the ship.
Yeah, and I think the big part that you mentioned there, Jeremy, was the goaltending position. And Derek Nesbitt and Eric Neely, of course, they're both recently retired forwards. Now you get a former goaltender in there. So when maybe a goaltender such as Grigals or Boyko or whoever you have in between the pipes next year, they're experiencing issues with confidence, you can have Ginner come in and, kind of relay some of the things that worked for him during his playing career to help force a turnaround for those goaltenders. So I'm excited to have him, and if that's the area he does, he ends up working in, I'm very confident in his ability to help the team in that way.
Absolutely. Now let's dig into this schedule, because not only is this like a fun schedule, and we'll go over the meat and potatoes of it now. We were talking about for all the Gladiator fans. I hope you really like the Greenville Swamp Rabbits, because you're going to see them 13 times this year, which is three more than the next two teams. But you've got to experience this rivalry, the I-85 rivalry. Basically, what is this rivalry meant for you?
Well, I was a little bit one-sided last year, I would say. Greenville with a terrific season. And again, they really had their way with the Gladiators, whether it was, at home or away from home at Gas South Arena. But again, 13 more cracks to kind of turn the tide against them. I know Greenville is undergoing quite a bit of change themselves. Head coach Andrew Lord recently accepting a job in the QMJHL with Halifax. And again, I think that's a significant change for a Swamp Rabbits group that, really a lot of their success emanated from their coaching staff. But Kyle Mountain, who was a former assistant coach last year with the Swamp Rabbits, going to take over as head coach. He has been really good for them as well. So I wouldn't foresee too much of a drop off. But again, when you lose your head coach, somebody who has that much of a mark with the team and the community, it's definitely going to bring forth some change. But the Gladiators and Swamp Rabbits rivalry, it's as hot as ever. Of course, the Swamp Rabbits beating the Gladiators in back-to-back years on Thrashers Night. Would like to get them back this year if that's who we're facing on that awesome theme night. But again, 13 more cracks at them. I'm really excited, and again, hopefully the Gladiators will see some different results against the Rabbits.
Yep. And as I said, as far as division, Orlando and Savannah, you're going to see 10 times. Those are always fun. It seems like Savannah is a team, at least early on, that the Gladiators have gotten the best of for the most part. I think it's probably 70-30, 60-40, somewhere in there, it felt like. Um, you get Jacksonville 8 times and you get South Carolina 9 times. I think the lucky break, and I'm not trying to make excuses. The lucky break is that you're only going to see the back-to-back-to-back Kelly Cup champion Everblades 7 times. Now, I could also argue that you want to face the best because it makes you play up or try to catch up with them or show that you are on that level. But it also helps that if they keep the nucleus of that team, we can just, if we win 4 or 5 out of 7, we win the series.
Exactly. So you only have to beat them, a certain number of times to kind of get the leg up on them. And I believe we faced them early in the season 3 times. We do at the end of October. So we have our season opening games at home against the Indy Fuel on the 19th and 20th. And then on the 25th, 26th, and 30th of October, 2 away games and 1 home game against the Everblades. So again, we saw last year, it doesn't really matter how you start, but again, facing the best, like you mentioned, Jeremy, in the first month of the season is, again, definitely something that will either get the Gladiators going or, kind of showcase a necessity rather, to improve. So I always like
And
facing the best. Would like to beat the
yeah,
Everblades next year. We didn't,
exactly.
took them
No,
the overtime once, gained 1 point, but would like to grab that W.
absolutely, absolutely. And we're talking with Liam Gotimer, the voice of our Atlanta Gladiators. You get some fun out of division opponents. Some of them out of town, some of them here. Bloomington, which is somebody we don't see very often at all. The Bison, Cincinnati Cyclones. You get the Indy Fuel right out of the gate at home. Norfolk, it's always kind of fun getting to face them. They got some good people. The Kalamazoo Wings, who are one of the first ECHL teams I ever heard of when I first got into hockey. I got a jersey somewhere. I need to find it. And then Toledo and it's Worcester Railers, right?
Worcester. Worcester.
Yeah, make sure I say that right. I said that wrong one time, and I got about 2 weeks worth of emails about it.
So fun fact, when I first got to the league prior to my first game, I had mentioned to somebody in passing, oh, it's Worcester. No, no. So happy that I was corrected before we took on the Railers and made a mistake. But no, it's definitely Worcester, and that's a tongue twister for sure.
Yeah. Is there any of those that you're looking forward to? Maybe some you haven't seen yet?
I'd say all of them. I mean, Cincinnati, we faced during the 2022-23 season. That was our teddy bear toss opponent, fastest teddy bear toss goal to begin a game in franchise history, Svitelli. So, of course, that brings forth a lot of great memories. Indy, we faced last year, but we faced them on the road. It's going to be great to face them here at Gas South Arena. Of course, Bloomington. I mean, you always want to face the one of the 2 newest franchises in the ECHL. So that's exciting having them come over to Gas South Arena. Norfolk, we took on last year. Didn't go too well for us on the roads, but we have the home ice advantage this time. And Kalamazoo, always an intriguing place to visit. I believe we see them for 2 games and then take on the Walleye shortly thereafter. So again, faced Toledo at home last year, and now we faced them on the road. And last but not least, Worcester. I know a lot of us are excited for that trip too.
That could be a real fun trip. That's a great area. That's a hockey town. For people that don't know much about Worcester, that's a hockey town.
I hope that we're bussing over there, so I'll be able to go with the team. That'd be pretty cool, but it's a little bit of a drive. You never know.
Yeah, a little bit, but that'd be fun. That'd be a fun bus trip.
I'd say so. Yeah. Leave the arena around midnight and, before you know it, you're there. But we'll see. We'll see how it all shakes out.
All right. Is there a spot in this in the any particular games or any particular maybe a road trip or maybe a certain section in this schedule that you've already kind of circled, kind of pinned a little bit?
I wouldn't say that there's one part of the schedule that I've pinned. I think definitely one that's caught my eye is the three-game set that we talked about towards the beginning there against the Everblades.
Hmm?
I mean, again, whenever you're facing the best, you want to get up for those games. You want to make sure you put forth a good performance. And, I know that there's definitely a lot of hope in the Gladiators organization that we do better against the back-to-back-to-back Kelly Cup champs this upcoming season. So that's definitely one I'm keeping an eye on. Outside of that, it's going to be good to have Norfolk back at home playing them at Gas South Arena. Would like to give them a little bit of revenge. And then, of course, Bloomington, I'm really excited for that to see one of the two newest DCHL teams.
I just even missed a game. I was about to say they have a terrific homestand that starts right before Christmas, where December 20th, you get the Solar Bears, 21st, you get Jacksonville, skip to the 27th, you get Greenville, 28th is Norfolk, 29th, and I'm a little partial to, is Norfolk again. And then you get January 3rd against the Stingrays. There's about a 2.5, 3 week stretch with Gladiators at home right at Christmas. That could be, I told fans when this first come out, I said that I was going to get on and discuss the season with you, but that's that's the most ultimate time. You want to bring people from out of town to these games, or you looking for the perfect, gift for somebody, or the perfect time, man. I don't know when I could make it out. How about right at Christmas time? There's 6 games you could pick right there.
Absolutely. The schedule much better than it was last year, in terms of specifically around the holidays, like you mentioned. And you get a little bit of everybody, right? You get to see Orlando, Jacksonville, Greenville, and then, of course, seeing an added division opponent in the Admirals. That's pretty cool as well. So,
Yeah,
and the Stinks, can't forget about them.
exactly. I don't think I saw any big away trips. I mean, there's a couple that have the distance, but they usually sprinkle them in pretty well. I
I'd
take that
say,
back. Looks like late February, the
mm,
16th, 19th, 22nd, and 23rd. But it's all Savannah, Orlando, South Carolina, and Greenville. So they basically make the loop right here at the Atlantic Ocean.
right, exactly. And we finish up in Greenville, just a short hour and a half away. So yeah, excited for that trip too. See how the Gladiators are able to do against those four teams. I know, Savannah gave us a little bit of a tough time last year after we really played well against them in their inaugural season. Orlando, especially at the Kia Center, the Gladiators played really well last season.
Yes,
And against the Stingrays, I think, even though they're a real high-powered offense, I thought the Gladiators matched well against South Carolina last year. And okay, we already talked about Greenville, but hopefully it's a little bit different.
and seriously, Jazz fans, if you feel like you've never seen a Greenville game or you want to see another one, about every third game is Greenville. So there should be one you can get to. And it's like you said, it's only a couple hours up the road. You could actually go see them on the road.
Right. Yeah, you absolutely could. And there are a number of back-to-backs between Greenville and the Gladiators where the Gladiators will play at home and then play on the road the next day.
Yep.
So could be a cool little trip to make.
It definitely could. It looks like a fun schedule. I was just leafing through it again. Uh, is there? Let me see. Let me phrase this so we both don't get in trouble. Um, is there
Right.
something about the upcoming season that you can talk about right now that would really get the fans excited, or are we just going to leave it open ended right now to say there's a lot of really cool stuff that you're going to learn about very soon?
I would do a little bit of a mixture of both. There are a number of surprises that are coming up later in the off season that fans will be really excited about, and it's stuff that I need to stay tight-lipped on right now. But I'm really excited to share the news with our fans when it comes along. So I'll just leave it at that. A little bit of a teaser, but
Well, I'll tell the fans that the easiest way, which is also one of, I mean, not just being in contact with you and the team through other channels, but hey, follow the team on all the social medias, sign up for the email updates and the things like that, and you'll find out before the public does on almost everything. So if you guys want to be at the forefront of it, those are the easiest ways to keep up with this team.
I can tell you one thing that might get the fans excited. Not necessarily on the player side, but
Mhm.
our entire in-game experience will be elevated next year. So just want to put that out there. A little bit of different production elements, some different minds in the room, and it's gonna be more gladiator centric. And I think the fans are really going to enjoy coming out to Gas South Arena, not only to witness the great hockey on the ice, but also the show that we can put on, like what we did on Thrashers Night. our goal is to make Gas South Arena like that every night the Gladiators play. So it's going to be elevated for sure.
I think they're listening, folks, because I know I've thrown around ideas, and I know I hear them during games. I see some of the emails that they send. I mean, spoiler alert. I'm not going to dress up as a gladiator from the Coliseum and walk around. I'm going to spare you guys that one. But I've always thought there's a lot of potential that you don't have to necessarily be on the scale because it costs a lot of money to do what some of, we'll just say it, the Golden Knights, the way they do their pregame and things like that, it costs a lot of money, but that's Vegas. You can kind of get those things a lot easier than you can, in Worcester. But there are some things that I think you're hinting at that they're just going to love. That's why you got to come to a game to see what this staff has come up with each and every time.
Yeah, experience a game for sure. I couldn't echo that sentiment enough. And for all the fans listening and watching, we hear you. Your comments on Facebook, I'm reading them, I'm taking them in the head, and we want to make the Gladiators experience as good as it can be. So we hear you, your requests and things that you want to see with the team. They do not fall on deaf ears. So our goal is to make the game experience as good as it can be for next year. And I think that's, you know, tying into, I think, building the show a little bit more around the brand of the Gladiators. What is a
Mhm.
Gladiator? So I think those are
Yep.
some of the things that you could be excited for next year. I'm excited. So you should be
Oh,
too.
I'm super excited. It's taken everything for me to stay sitting down because this year is really going to be fun. Like watching, I guess getting to see it at the level I did last year is seeing what's building. They're going to love it. Everybody's going to love it. We're going to get more people to games. And is there anything else you want to add?
No, I think that's just about it. I mean, again, I'm really excited for next season. I'm really excited to be joining you, Jeremy, here tonight. And again, for all the fans listening and watching, we do it for you. And again, I said it before, but I can't keep saying it, right? We want to make the game experience as best as it can be. And for myself, I can't do much on that side during the game as I'll be broadcasting, but again, I'll try to bring the same things to every broadcast as well. So.
I'll throw that in. If even if you're live at the game, you need to have Liam in your ear to hear the call as it goes along with it because that's how you get the full experience. I get lucky a lot of media days. I'm sitting about 2 seats over from you. So I get to feel that emotion and feel like I'm like on the roller coaster the whole time. Uh, Even if I wasn't watching the game, it feels that way. You do such an incredible job.
Thank
But
you.
definitely put him in your ear if you're at the game because you will not be disappointed.
I get animated, that's for sure. And Jeremy up in the press box with me, he's right next to me for all the biggest moments. So if anybody can to kind of test to kind of the energy that I bring to the broadcast, it certainly is you, Jeremy. Two things I want to talk about just as
Mhm.
well. The future considerations trades that the
Oh yeah.
Gladiators made. Atlanta trading Brendan Hoffman to the Idaho Steelheads for Parker Coin. So, of course, the player to be named later in that deal is Hoffman. The Gladiators acquired Hoffman from the Reading Royals in exchange for Blake Evano earlier in the season. I just want to say I really enjoyed having Hoff a part of the team. He was a big body. He was very skilled. He scored quite a bit of big goals for the Gladiators. But, I'm sure you'll agree with me, Jeremy. Ever since Parker Coin, came to the Glads, he only played 10 with Atlanta. He scored 5 goals. So, I think if, we certainly retained his rights and if he's somebody, that elects to come back to the Gladiators next year, he's gonna make it a big impact. So, but I'd be remiss if I did not thank Hoff for everything he did.
Yeah.
Gladiators. He was really good after he came over and a good locker room presence too. So
That's always good. It's yeah, the score sheet is what a lot of people see, but I point to a lot of teams that fall apart when certain people get injured or get traded. And I was like, well, that tells me who their locker room guy was. Was it's that guy who's injured or that guy who's not with the team if you see everything kind of scattered around. And wasn't there another one where we sent the captain?
that was the Graves trade at the deadline. And we acquired Carson Denemy and Jake Willits in that trade, alongside a player to be named later. That player was finally revealed, Chase Grisak, 25 years old, played 69 games with the Walleye last season, had 35 points. So again, we haven't signed him yet, but this is the player that we've acquired the rights to. So again, alongside Denemy and Willits, who were very good themselves on the
Oh yeah.
back end, respectively. So.
Yeah, it's a lot of times people are like, "Oh, you trade away a guy and we just got whatever they'd give up." It's like, no, I would argue that as much as we didn't want to lose those players in those trades, we were able to bring in a very comparable load for both of them, to where I think we built more for the future and gave those guys a chance to play either for cups or to just further their career.
And I think the big part of that, Jeremy, is you want all trades to be mutually beneficial, right? For the other team you're dealing with, for yourselves, and for the player that you're trading away. I mean, it's never easy to trade away your captain at the deadline. And of course, Gladiators fans, they know how much Jacob Graves means to the team, the community, and everything else. And again, with Toledo, he had 5 points in 13 games after the trade. He's really good. And he was a plus eight, and in 14 playoff games, he had 2 goals. So again, even though Toledo bowed out to the Mavericks in the Western Conference Final, it was a really good run for Toledo and Gravy, which I think we can be really happy about. But to be able to get three controllable assets in Denemy and Willits and Grisak, I think is a win in the Gladiators book. But definitely miss Gravy and wishing him all the best. Talk
Yeah,
about a
and
good.
that's not saying he,
That
oh
was
yeah,
great.
and that's not saying he couldn't return down the road, but
Yeah.
even if he doesn't, he's borderline legend in this country anyway.
Yeah, he is. He is beloved by almost every member of Glad's Nation, and rightfully so. So I believe Toledo still does have his rights. We'll see if he
I
ends up
think so.
leaving with the Walleye. But again, if he ever gets to a point in his career to where he, wants to return to Atlanta, we would welcome him with open arms, 100%.
Absolutely. Well, Liam, I think we have gotten through as you got something else?
I do have one more thing. You
Oh,
talk about players that really got endeared to Atlanta and the community after coming over. Jake Willits and Carson Denemy are two of those guys. So just would like to mention that as well. They played some pretty good hockey. Denemy didn't get a lot of playing time before coming over. Neither did Willits, and I think both of them really found a home here. So just want to give them a shout as well as being a part of that trade.
absolutely. Absolutely. They you could see their presence that people just went to them. They love these guys.
100%.
All right. Well, I think we have hit everything so far that we can talk about at the off season. There will be more. As I said, those are all the ways you can follow the team. Make sure you're doing at least a couple of them, if not all of them, because all of this will be coming out just as soon as they can get it out. You usually stagger the signings, I know, but just
Yep.
know that in a week or so, fans, you're going to start to hear things. But for the voice of our Atlanta Gladiators, Liam Gotimer, I am Jeremy York from BoardCheck. Appreciate you guys tuning in, and we will see you guys next time.
Thank you guys. Go Glads.
Go Glads.